Hi, everyone. It's Mark Vina with Smart Tech Research. I've got the pleasure to meet today with Maher Matta.
That's it.
The new president of the Americas division, I guess, at Infineon Technologies, a company that I've spent quite a bit of time with covering over the past several years. And it's been a pleasure. You've just been promoted to president.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd love just to chat with you on your background. You've been here for more than a few years.
Yes, almost 10 now.
You know the space quite well. So let's talk a little bit about your background first.
Yeah, I'm kind of your traditional analog mixed signal guy. So I started in Massachusetts, went to school at University of Massachusetts. At
UMass,
Lowell.
I know it well.
Yeah, UMass, yeah. Good engineering school there. Shout out to my East Coast buddies out there. Did my bachelor's and master's, and right after that went into analog devices. Stayed with them about 8 years, working in the disk drive products. So I was in a product engineer, test engineer. Saw the sausage being made, which was very nice. Started to get into management a little bit, and then about 10 years in, I said, I want to try my hand at this so-called management. I wanted to go to the dark side because. As an engineer, you sometimes wonder how decisions are made from management, and you see projects started and killed, and at times I thought I could do a better job. I mean, now with another 10 plus years after that, I can tell you it's not an easy job. Engineering is more precise. So, but I went to Maxim. So I went to Maxim to continuing my journey. I did about 8 years with Maxim in business management and product line management. Did a startup for a year. And then the startup got acquired by Intersil, so the Intersil moved me out here to run their high-performance analog line, and then I joined Infineon in 2013, so late 2013. So it's been almost 10 years.
Well, I'm always impressed with a senior executive who went to school in Massachusetts. I went to Boston College. And you know what the weather's like.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Once you move out to California,
the blood thins real quick.
Yes.
It didn't take me more than, I don't know, a few quarters before I was California.
It gets cold in multiple places in the United States, but there's nothing like a winter in downtown Boston where you can't walk 20 feet without having to dodge into a store to keep warm.
And the ice and the slush. Yes.
No, nothing like California. Let's talk a little bit about, Maher, about what keeps you at Infineon. You've got engineering experience. You went down to the dark side from a management standpoint, but you obviously have a background that would make you appealing for a lot of different types of companies. But there are things about Infineon, and I've worked with them for so many years, that are intriguing. And I'm just kind of want to pick your brain in terms of, what are the things that really attract you and what's kept you here?
Yeah, no. It's a fair question because I actually have never stayed at a company as long as I've been with Infineon. I'm coming up on 10 years. Usually I get the 7-year itch and I tend to move on. What I really liked about Infineon, and I noticed it fairly quickly, is really a kind of combination of things that are fairly nice. On one side, the engineer part of me very much wants and is interested in the technology and having differentiated products and addressing the hard problems with cool solutions. So the geek in me appreciates the innovation, the technology piece of it, and for sure we have that, as you know. So it for sure has that component. If you look at it from a people side, I had mixed experiences in my career in places where you might have a great portfolio, you might have actually great business results, but sometimes you go home and you get that email that came in from so-and-so didn't feel so good. And so, how you treat others matters. And maybe as you get older, it becomes more important. And the kind of the collaboration approach, the teamwork approach, the respect for others, work-life balance, while achieving results, because you cannot be a successful company without having the right products and being successful. But combining that with a collaborative environment where we care about each other was really nice. So business results were there, technology was there, and then having this collaboration human element. So all those things fit together nicely for me.
It's interesting, and I know you don't mean that in a casual way, because I have worked with many of the many Infineon personnel over the past few years, and it has an interesting, distinctive DNA culturally from other companies I've worked with. And that's not to say that other company cultures are bad, but it is a richly collaborative culture. Again, from an outsider looking in, the company comes across to me is that regardless of where you are in the organization, your opinion matters.
Yeah.
There seems to be a kind of a consensus. Now, of course, everything can't be a vote. And at a certain point, you got to move the train along. But I'm impressed with the fact that the culture seems to be as advertised.
We do tend to walk the talk, and you highlighted, hey, that you need to be careful with collaboration, because if you over collaborate or over align, you could have some challenges, and we're cognizant of that. And I will not say that there are places where you say, we need to move faster, and this is something that our new CEO actually is trying to address. We want to retain the things that really are good, but at the same time be cognizant that we don't go over too far where we say certain decisions are taking too long. So right. This kind of adaptive approach while maintaining certain important elements of what makes our culture great is why I'm here. I really enjoy having those elements.
No, that's obvious, and it's not just about the employee culture. You deal with thousands of different partners. Your business would not exist if it wasn't for the kind of relationships you have from a partner standpoint. You're in more markets than I can shake a stick at. Many of those markets are growing very rapidly, and I think you have to have that kind of orientation, because having worked for a silicon company myself years ago, when you develop an offering or a capability or an ingredient that goes in another OEM's product, that is not just, it's not plug and play. Here we sell a solution. There's a lot of behind the scenes work.
Yes.
From an integration standpoint,
yes.
Both software. I did a podcast recently with you folks on the power of software. So it's really incredible in terms of the ability that you have to have that type of
yes.
Engagement,
Premium
collaboration.
Customer service.
That's exactly right.
Yes, that parts, unfortunately, it's not like the old days where you put out an op-amp and people know how to use it. I mean, it requires a much more collaborative approach with the customers,
right.
For sure.
Now, you've got this Tech4 event
yes.
coming up that's going to be live streamed. I want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
What's it all about? What can people expect after they check it out,
sure.
within the next couple of days?
Yeah,
but let's talk about that.
It's coming up a couple of days. So, yeah, Tech4, we're going to have our first Tech4 in the Americas. We've had already, I think this is our third one. And, Tech4 was an event really created. Our I'm not sure if it's, they're right behind us, driving decarbonization, digitization. So actually our CMO came up with this, Andreas Orschitz, who will be there hosting the event. So he said, we need to look at this a little bit more holistically. It's one thing to say we want to drive decarbonization, but the together part is the key element, because it's going to take really a village to make our world a better place as it relates to climate change and decarbonization. And so you will see in Tech4 bringing in different parties. So it's not just industry. We will have some industry, obviously primarily represented by us, but the government side, how do you have public policy addresses? In previous Tech4s, we've even had, different generations. How do we deal with society in different levels? The educational component, how do we want universities? So this kind of, again, the collaborative piece of how do we tackle this cohesively from multiple sides, not just let's have more efficient products, which for sure is going to be, a component. Let's not just manufacture with, less water, et cetera, which is very important. But as a society, what are our obligations? What can we do as a government agency? What can we do as a new generation coming in? Should we be eating avocados if we live in New Zealand? Should we be eating, So some of those questions become, considered in that forum. And so hopefully on Thursday you'll see this holistic review, and we will certainly talk about it also from more of an energy perspective, generating it in a renewable manner. How do we consume it? How do we distribute it? How do we store it? So you'll get a little bit of all these elements.
And of course, it's going to be live streamed, and we'll be flashing a QR code at the end of the broadcast so people can register. But that sounds very, very exciting.
Yeah.
Sounds very exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Now, you mentioned the magic two words, decarbonization and digitalization, and those are two corporate objectives that have been first and foremost at Infineon for several years. How do you interpret them? How do you take them to heart? And some of them obviously have a tremendous business consequence to it. It's a business opportunity. Much of it has especially the decarbonization piece has obviously a societal impact. But what do those terms mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I tend to look at them from, and by the way, they work together, right? So decarbonization to me is one of the nice things I like about Infineon, because we talked earlier about the societal aspect. So when I internalize it, I've got young kids. I do reflect on what kind of society are we leaving, what kind of planet are we leaving for the next generation? For my 17-year-old and 19-year-old, what's their life going to look like? So when I think about it that way, I say, well, as a person in semiconductors, what can I do? For sure, we need to have the discussion from a broader perspective. And what I like about it is what Infineon has been saying we can do. And we're addressing it at different levels. So for me, it means partly, yes, manufacturing, and we do address the manufacturing side. When we manufacture something, can we use renewable energy? Can we use less water? Can we use gases that are generated in a renewable manner? So call it the manufacturing side, so that's one piece of it. Then the other piece is the solutions part. You know that we have a lot of solutions in power and sensors. Mm-hmm. You can almost pick any space, whether it's automotive or power with the cloud or sensors. Let's pick a couple of them. Cloud is a good example. If you look at typically how much compute it takes to train some of these deep learning models, it's tremendous amounts of energy. The last estimate I saw from, I think it's the University of Massachusetts study actually.
Always invoking your old school.
Always invoking my own school. Over 600,000 pounds of CO2 for a single model, to run one deep learning model. That's like 20 times what the average household consumes. So just to do a one training set, and you can see with the explosion of AI and how many models we're training. So that's the digitization part, but can we do that more efficiently? Can we generate solutions that have higher efficiency? Can we generate silicon technologies like wide bandgap that allow us to power these farms more efficiently? Can we do it in a way that they don't need as much air conditioning? Mm-hmm. You look at EV, I mean, the same story there, right? Right now, I think the world's only at 6% EV adoption.
A lot of upside.
Imagine what happens when we only even go to 25%. 5%. What does that mean for the grid? What does that mean? So in each of those places, the grid, whether you look at it from an EV part, we're playing. We have solutions in the car that are more efficient. We have sensors in rooms like this that try to decide when to turn on the air conditioning and the lights to conserve energy. So back to your question, what does it mean? I sort of look at it and say we can contribute in so many levels, whether it's a solution space, whether it's on a manufacturing space, whether it's our commitment to be carbon neutral by 2030, and that does make me feel good. I do feel like we're making a difference.
And the reality is that if you look at it from a marketplace standpoint, it's hard to think. I can't think of a product area that you're playing in today where those two themes don't cut across those product categories.
Right.
There probably is one, I'm sure, but you'd have to look real hard.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, IoT is so intertwined with this topic. So yes, I mean, you can always say even, does a security element have something to do with it? But you can always find a way that they're intertwined. But there's a lot of them that are directly related, like some of the examples I mentioned, EVs, distribution, cloud, IoT, no shortage of things.
Of product opportunity areas. Finally, and this is probably the most challenging question I'm going to ask you, because
oh boy,
and that is really over the next 90 days, what can we expect? Obviously, you're a known quantity here, a commodity here, in that you've been around the block here. You've got a lot of experience with the company. You know the personnel, but and of course, you're succeeding someone who was very successful in the job before, and we should give Bob some due credit.
Absolutely. Yes, it's not a broken machine.
No,
Bob did a great job setting it up. So, Next 90 days? Yeah, I mean, like you said, look, it's a organization that's running well, but it's a growing organization, so we definitely have.
There'll always be tweaking.
Yeah, and the fact remains, we want to maintain what we have and then just build on it. So, you know, what they say about standing on the shoulders of giants. So I see it as trying to craft out the next stage of how do we make Infineon more attractive for the team in the Americas to continue to want to work here. So there's that aspect of it. Then on the customer side, we have a lot of opportunity. We just talked about all these different applications where we see tremendous growth, and we're just scratching the surface. So how do we work with our partners in the Americas? And I am very lucky to be responsible for a region like the Americas because there are so many, you know, large and important customers.
They drive just a small part of the overall company's revenue.
Just a small part. we can always amp it up. So
Yeah.
yes, so it's working with our customers to grow our revenue and attracting more interesting applications. Working with the ecosystem, that's going to be another part where I'll spend some time. We have a large ecosystem that we probably can do more with, whether it's universities, whether it's with government. So it's all of those things. So nothing broken, just take it to the next level and work at it.
Well, you know, I'm a Yankee fan, although the Yankees haven't done that great so far this year. When a new manager comes in to manage the Yankees, well, maybe that's a bad analogy because they're not doing that well. But you have an anti-Yankee kind of a situation.
Yeah,
right
I'm a more Red Sox, but yes.
Oh boy, okay, is that true? Okay,
Well,
the podcast is over. We're cutting out the podcast, ending it there. In the last couple of minutes we have, any concluding comments you'd like to make?
No, I mean, look, I think we live in interesting times. Is that like a Chinese proverb that says, may you live in interesting times? And I do think that Infineon is positioned in a very nice place to help with some of our challenges. And I'm fortunate to be in a very nice position in the Americas. We as a region are going to help Infineon help the world. So I'm very excited and looking forward to the next steps.
Well, Maher, thank you for your time. This was a great discussion. And your next 90 days will be, I'm sure, very, very interesting. And do appreciate taking some time with me. And again, congratulations on the promotion.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you spending time with me as well.